Today on Rambling About Cars. It's a holiday weekend in America, but the news doesn't stop. The debuts don't stop. And I tell you what, when Ford comes out with an all-new Ranger for global markets, you pay attention. And then when Ferrari comes out with an all-new hypercar, you pay attention. We're going to talk about both of those. And then we're just going to ramble and have some fun. We're going to try a little obscure cheap car challenge. Don't know how cheap that's going to be.
No,
maybe
so
talk
one of
about
mine
some...
is very not cheap.
Maybe talk about some Black Friday stuff. Maybe talk about some gifts that you want, what you're thankful for, stuff that you don't get car people ever. So fabulous fans, it's podcast time. I'm Christopher Smith. Across the way is Chris Bruce.
How's it going? Yeah, we're going to do two quick news hits. Like, you know, if any of our listeners aren't in the United States, Thursday's Thanksgiving, and car news has kind of slowed down to a trickle. Both of the things that we are going to talk about are international debuts. One of them will be coming to the United States, and maybe a couple of the other one will be coming to the United States. But this is mostly, you know, car news has been slow this week. So yeah, we're going to hit the two big debuts, and then we're going to have a ramble. It's going to be like two guys sitting in the garage, sipping some beers, talking cars.
Oh, it's very much going to ramble. And you know what? You're listening to this hopefully on Friday. Maybe you're in the car traveling somewhere, going to do some shopping. Maybe you're just traveling, going to and from family for holidays. If you're listening, we really appreciate having you along. You always want to get us podcast at motor1.com on the email. Go to our YouTube channel, Motor One Podcast, like and subscribe and follow and notification and all the other stuff. So you get these awesome, amazing podcast every week. And we hope that you're rambling with us on this special fun episode.
Yeah. Well, let's get the show on the road.
Yeah.
So as we are recording this vehicle has not yet debuted, and that's important for a reason I'm going to get into. And that is tomorrow morning, the new generation of the Ford Ranger will debut.
Which for you is a couple days ago, but for us,
right? For us, it's tomorrow.
Tomorrow morning,
it's 2 days ago. But
it's important because
we do not currently have U.S. spec information.
Yes.
The press release that most of us got is for the Australian version of the truck. Two of us had to sign an NDA, and it's not Smith and I, to get U.S. spec information, and so we don't know that. So we can kind of hit some high points, but a lot of this we just don't know for sure. The one thing we do have, though, is our images. And again, these are the Australian version. To the best of our knowledge, the Ranger is now going to be a global product. The Ranger is going to be available in 180 markets worldwide, which means damn near everywhere. And so the Ranger you get in Europe and the Ranger you get in the United States will be the same product. Now, the engines might not be the same. Maybe you'll get a tweaked front fascia here, a tweak here or there. But in large part, the Ranger now will be global. So, Smith, if you want to just talk a second, I will get these images up and we can start talking about how it looks.
How about I just pull them up right now? Boom.
Oh, our post is, okay.
I'm
cool.
I'm cheating the system by bringing this up.
But
don't worry. Don't worry. This post will be available at motor1.com as you're listening to this on Friday.
When you listen to this will be available. As you could tell by my reaction, I did not know that this was available yet.
I'm cheating the system, and actually I'm trying to find if I can click into the gallery. I mean,
there are a few pictures. I've got more.
Our news editor, Adrian, I mean, he's always on the ball, and he has this thing written already. But I'm wondering, maybe I can't click on these images.
Well, here, I got you handled here, bud.
Okay, well,
sure
you bring us up. We're at least taking a good look here at the exterior of the Ranger.
Yeah.
And I tell you what, I see I get just a huge Maverick vibe, and I'm sure that's on purpose.
Oh, totally.
Checking out the front, I mean, it has sort of the C-clamp headlights like you have with the Maverick. It's got the bar across the grille that you have with Maverick.
To me, it's a mishmash of Maverick and F-150. You can definitely see a family resemblance.
Oh yeah.
That, you know, this is going to be the middle child in the lineup, which, depending on where you are in the US, it's the middle child. In a lot of places around the world, this is Ford's big truck. This is what they get because there is no F-Series. So,
and I see more Maverick resemblance than F-150, but there is a
Sure.
nice combination of the two. Looking at it in profile as well, I get a real Maverick flavor in profile.
Give me just a second. We can do
Again,
that.
which isn't necessarily a bad thing. I think the Maverick looks great. This truck is a little bit bigger than the one it replaces.
Mhm.
Wheelbase is just like a little bit longer, 50 millimeters longer. It's just a crazy small number, 50 millimeters wider, but Ford says that does make a difference. With the longer wheelbase, the front wheels are moved further forward. It's supposed to give you better approach angle as you're going off road. And again, we want to stress we're not talking about the US spec Ranger right now. I imagine
We're
it's
not even looking at the US spec Ranger right now.
right, but I mean it's pretty much going to look like what we're seeing here.
You're not going to get some of the side rails or something like that. Maybe a fascia is going to be different, but
right. Australia always gets they always just get like the cool roof rails and those kind of those bed bars. Yeah. We need to have that in the US market.
I think it's a good looking truck. I'm going to show the interior now because it is going to be available with a massive screen. Smith, if you're looking at least, I think it's 12.4 inches.
12 point, or no, you get a choice of either 10.1 inch or a 12-inch touchscreen.
Okay. Big portrait screen there you can see with all sorts of touch controls.
Yep. And that's kind of Ford's thing. If you notice going forward with their interiors, they're really going for that large portrait style screen.
Yeah. And that Mach-E you just drove, it had something similar to that. And then the F-150, you can get something similar. And now it makes sense that the Ranger would have that too.
Yep, that's the way it's going. The interior, I think, is a big step up. Of course, in the United States, people are thinking, well, the Ranger is just a couple years old. But when it was reintroduced here in the United States, that was actually a model that had been around other parts of the world for many, many years prior. So even though it was new to the US market, it's still, a lot of people still complained it had something of a dated feel. This is obviously a new truck, not dated in the least.
No, brand new. We don't know. I mean, we know it's going to go on sale sometime next year in the US. I don't think we know when yet. That's again, Smith and I, we don't have the US spec information. We're basically just going on the Aussie stuff, but it's going to be available sometime next year. If you go to motor1.com, I bet by that we will have some more US spec information by the time you're listening to this. But we're basically just evaluating it on kind of looks, and it's a good looking truck.
I like there's a tactile shift stalk in the center console.
Yeah.
I miss that driving around in the Mach-E. I've missed it in any car, with an automatic gearbox. That's just the little rotary dial thing. I just like the tactile sensation of having that device in the center console. You don't have to look down. You don't have to think about it. You can just use it as you need to use it.
So before we move on, though, I want to raise this little bit of discussion with you because it's been going through my head. So our coworker, Jeff Perez, he looked at this and he said he doesn't know. He doesn't necessarily see a point for the Ranger in the United States anymore, especially since you have the Maverick and you have the F-Series. Why would someone buy a Ranger when both of those vehicles exist? Do you think this is going to kind of suffer from middle child syndrome where it's not big enough for F-Series people, it's too big for Maverick people, and it's going to get kind of squeezed out? What are your thoughts on that?
My thoughts are people buy pickup trucks by the millions. Can you have too many pickup trucks? No. Can you have too many pickup trucks if you're Ford? Hell no. There will be people that don't want the big F-150 or the 250 or the 350. There will be people that don't want the Maverick and they'll go to the Ranger. There will be people that just want a small truck. They'll go to the Maverick. There are people that want the full-size truck. They'll go to F-150. There are people that want an F-150. It doesn't matter how big or small it is. It's the F-150. So that's what they're going to go for. Point being, automakers offer a wide variety of SUVs now in various sizes. Why not trucks? Why do you need just one or two truck categories? You have your compact truck now with Ford, with the Maverick. You have your mid-size truck now with the Ranger. You have your full-size truck with the F-Series. That mirrors decades upon decades upon decades of sedans.
That's true.
And how many times have we said trucks have basically replaced the role of the traditional sedan in the American market? You get your $50,000-$60,000 F-150 crew cab that has comfortable seating inside for 5 or 6 people. That's exactly what the sedan used to be. So having these different classifications, I whether or not the Ranger is sort of a stranded middle child, I think it's a moot point. People will buy it anyways because they're that hungry for trucks.
And the point I raised with him in the discussion we had is that also the Ranger is going to be available in 180 markets, like I said. And so, maybe if people in the US, let's say, it's not as popular in the US, they're going to make up for that with volume in the rest of the world where the F series isn't available. So
Right.
it kind of doesn't matter. They could take a hit in the US and they're still going to sell millions of these worldwide because in a lot of places, this is the Ford pickup.
And you know what? Looking at this new Ranger versus the new F-150, I like the look of the Ranger a lot better. And it's a decent sized truck. I mean, we say mid-sized truck, right? But if you go back 15 years, 10, 15
yeah,
years.
This is the size of an F-150.
That's an F-150 from like 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we say mid-sized truck. It's still going to have all the capability that I think just about any truck, especially anybody buying a half-ton truck, that's going to do everything that you're going to need it to do.
Yeah.
For bigger loads, obviously, people are going to the 3/4 ton, the 1-ton trucks. Those have some capabilities that exceed the Ranger, and rightfully so.
Yeah,
but
you're supposed to.
I mean, I would have the Ranger over an F-150 just based on looks here. I would take the F-150 Lightning just because 50/50 weight distribution and electric truck. I just like the idea of just angering the purists that still want a V8. But also, I mean, I think the F-150 Lightning is going to be just an awesome performance truck that kind of goes under the radar. I'd have that over the Ranger.
But that's going to cost twice as much.
That's going to cost a lot more.
Yeah. So it's a bit of an apples to oranges just because, you might be able to buy 2 base Rangers for the price of 1 Lightning. So,
one thing we didn't talk about here yet are engines, and that's because we don't have US spec information. But we do know that in other markets, it's going to get the turbo diesel 3-liter V6.
I bet we won't get that in the US.
I highly doubt we won't get that in the US. Do you know, Bruce, is that the same 3-liter that was offered in the F-150?
Absolutely no clue. I
don't know.
I know enough about the new Ranger yet. Sorry. I don't know
that's
enough
fine.
about it yet.
Hey, we're all learning about this together, man. You listeners out there, we're learning about this just as you're learning about this. You will be able to get a 3-liter turbo V6. There'll also be a couple variations of the 2-liter diesel with a single turbo and a twin turbo,
and then also an EcoBoost gasoline engine. Correct?
Yep. You'll also get a 2.3 liter.
That one I bet we'll get in the United States for sure.
That's pretty much guaranteed. It's a question of what else they'll put in the Ranger this time around. 10-speed automatic you can get in other markets. You can also get the 6-speed automatic and 6-speed manual.
I bet we're not getting that.
We're not going to get a 6-speed manual Ranger, unfortunately. But yeah, and of course there's no pricing. Even if we had US specs, Ford will release pricing closer to when it goes on sale, which should be next year. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much, that's some breaking news here for this holiday weekend in America.
Yeah.
And hey, new Ranger, that's a big deal. That's a big, big deal.
So going from a vehicle that pretty much any of us could afford, it's not too much of a stretch, to a vehicle none of us can afford, unless we happen to have a listener whose last name is like Leno or Canepa or Glickenhaus or Bezos or something like that.
They all listen. They do. Come on.
If they do, they need to comment because I want to know. But so completely other end of the spectrum, we just wanted to hit this real quick. Ferrari debuted their new Icona model. And for those who are not familiar, Icona is Ferrari's lineup of ultra exclusive vehicles. This is their third. They debuted the first two at the same time. Those were the SP1 and SP2 Monza, sorry. And this new one is what is its full name? Oh, it's just the Daytona SP3. For some reason,
Daytona
I thought there was more to
SP3.
it. So yeah, it's supposed to take cues from the Ferrari Daytona from the late 1960s that raced, and then very early 1970s. But I just want to draw attention to the rear end, which I think is the best part of this vehicle, because there's no way you can look at this and not tell me that whoever designed it was very inspired by the Testarossa and was like,
Yes.
yeah, let's do that again.
That is so Testarossa. I mean, the Testarossa had that look for the rear lights. This is like the entire rear. I mean, it's honestly, I'd expect it from Lamborghini, not Ferrari. This car is kind of mad. I mean, it is just kind of.
It's funny because at the front and the front three quarters, it's kind of retro-y. Like you can kind of see that old school.
See, I mean,
it's so sharp.
Old school. I don't see any Daytona in this thing, though. I don't know where they're getting Daytona from. I'm not seeing any Daytona, and I'm a huge Daytona fan. One of these models behind me is a Daytona Spider. I'm just not. I mean, I guess maybe just in the flatness of the front, but the big gaping kind of grill underneath that goes down to the front splitter. I mean, I see more C8 Corvette there than Daytona, to be honest. That's going to anger the Corvette fans. That's going to anger the Ferrari fans. Hey, it's a hot take coming to you live from Rambling About Cars. I mean, the car looks hot.
It does, and
the car looks awesome.
We'll hit the specs real quick on this. So the thing is, this is a car none of us are going to be able to afford, and I mean, I'm very certain for our entire listenership that's the case. If I'm wrong, send me a comment. But yeah, so it uses the engine from the 812 Competizione. So it is it is called the F140HC engine. It makes 828 horsepower, 514 pound-feet of torque, and it revs to 9,500 RPM. I would love to hear this thing at Redline. It must sound fantastic.
Yeah.
What we don't know, of course, is price, and we don't know the production number. But Ferrari says they've already sold them all, so both are kind of a moot point.
Yeah, and I mean, it's gonna be a limited thing. I mean,
that's the thing with the Icona models. It's in the hundreds. I would have to venture a guess.
Very limited.
And the price is in the millions, certainly.
2.86 seconds, 0 to 62. So 2.7 probably to 60. We'll say. 124 miles an hour, 0 to 124, 7.4 seconds. I mean, it's a hypercar. And we're kind of geeking out over this, Bruce, but maybe take a poignant moment here. How many more times are we going to see stuff like this? This screaming V12. There's no hybrid assist on this car.
Nope.
It's just pure classic Italian screaming V12 sitting behind the driver in a small car. Yeah, I mean, we aren't going to see too many more vehicles like this. I think it looks fantastic from pretty much every angle. Like I said, I think it's mad like a Lamborghini with that back end, with just the ribbed for everybody's pleasure back end.
So
I don't know if you're gonna ding us for me, for me saying that, but
no, that's vague enough.
It's absolutely true. And you get the same treatment up front. Yeah.
After seeing the back end, I want Ferrari to go full out and do a Testarossa homage for the whole car and just do like super wedge styling, but have the cheese grater sides, just go all out on it, because clearly there is someone in the company that likes the Testarossa, because there's no way you could craft the back end of this thing and not know what you're doing. So just let that guy do more.
I like that. Set it up to go after the new Countach. Maybe a little bit of competition. A little bit of competition. Hey, Lamborghini is going to come out with a new version of the Countach. Well, let's see Ferrari redo the Testarossa.
Yeah, that'd be good. You get Don Johnson to do the promo video and do some Miami Vice action. Like yeah. Anyway,
now I'm just having thoughts of, okay, well, what else can we do? Can Porsche do a 959?
they should, but
I mean, what would that be based on? Well, I guess Porsche could do it. What else? What
you
else do
could
we
do it
need to see?
911 base. Like we've been seeing those spy shots of the 911 Safari, which we
Yeah,
think it's
that's
called.
true.
So 959 is not that far.
Wouldn't be hard to make a modern iteration of that. What else could we do? Ferrari. Well, I guess I was going to say 288 GTO, but they kind of already did that with the which one is it? The F8 is it what I'm thinking of? Where it kind of takes a little.
Yes,
you get a little bit of 288 flair in there.
I think it's time to do a Testarossa homage, especially if you're doing this and you're already a quarter of the way there. Just take it the rest of the way.
Wide, flat. Okay, what about engine? Are you going to stick with a V12 or are you going to go with their flat V12?
I mean, they don't have a flat V12 these days. There is no flat 12. So they got to
but they can at least have
we got to be at least a little bit realistic.
For the right price, those the extremely, extremely wealthy listeners that I know we have, we need your help on this. You need to contact Ferrari and say, you know what, Ferrari, Lamborghini is just laughing at you because they have their Countach that is still just all the talk of the land. And we are ready. We are beyond ready to have a modern version of the Testarossa, and you have to make a flat V12 for it. And we'll buy all 9 that you'll make. We need help. Let's make it happen.
Okay. So that's the end of the news portion. Do you want to do some quick YouTube comments? Because that's the only place we got comments this week. We had quite a few on YouTube, but
yeah, we're getting into the holiday season. I know people are getting busy, but we really appreciate your comments.
Oh, totally.
You can always comment on our YouTube videos that go up every Friday at Motor One Podcast YouTube channel. We always welcome your comments on our articles that go up every Friday. And yes, even though we're on a holiday weekend, you're listening to this. That means Bruce and I are still working on it. And hey, we want to make sure you're enjoying our holiday weekend in the US. Maybe you're enjoying it with us. Send your emails to podcast@motor1.com. Let's go over a couple YouTube comments here.
Okay. So this one comes from he has commented before, or this person has commented before. They go by the Harf of Jar. And please, podcast@motor1.com, send an explanation of what the hell that means, because it seems like it clearly means something because you have capital letters and stuff like that. I want to know what that means. But he was the only person who commented. So what's our buddy who does the tire reviews? For some reason, I keep wanting to call him Noah, and I know that's not right.
Jonathan Benson.
Thank you. He was the only person that commented about what Jonathan should get. And he commented it should either be an E46 3 Series or a Lexus IS. I replied to him, yeah, those could work. But I think short of a ISF, the IS isn't going to have the performance that Jonathan's looking for. And I said, I wonder if an AMG C-Class has dropped in price yet. And God bless Harf of Jar, he looked into it. And apparently for the W204 generation, the C63, those are going for about $19,000 right now, which is a little bit out of Jonathan's price range. However, a W203 C55 is $10K. So that would be pretty much perfect. That's just under his price range. Yeah, and that would be a fantastic car.
That would be very interesting for rallycross. Because that's what he's looking to do. Something to just drive daily for a little while, rear wheel drive. But then he wants to rallycross. Now, I should offer a little bit of a postscript here because he and I have been bouncing some emails back and forth.
Oh, I didn't know this. Okay,
and I may have sent him a link to a 996 911 that he can get for $14,000.
Yeah. Until the IMS bearing fails, and then
rear wheel drive. I think it's even a cabrio. Rear wheel drive, 6-speed manual. It was like $14,900. I mean, come on. Yeah, the 996s, they had a kind of a sketchy reliability reputation, but how far along are we now? I mean, it's at this point, I feel like they're either broken and thrown away or mended, right? Maybe? I don't
I
know.
think a lot of them. If they were enthusiast owned, yes. If they were kind of a leased one, I think it's kind of a crapshoot. But for 15 grand, like, and if
And
Jonathan, if he doesn't mind, maybe throwing that money down the toilet, you're at least going to enjoy a little bit
well,
with it.
hold on, because you recommended an RX-8, and it's like, really,
That's right.
what's the one car that's less reliable than the 996, and that's going to be the RX-8.
I mean, you make sure you feed it the right type of oil. It'll be fine.
Don't look at it the wrong way. I mean, we've just been bouncing some emails back and forth. I really like the idea of a Safari 911.
Yeah,
Whether he does it or not, don't know, but thank you very much for your feedback on that. He does have some BMW experience, and
Yeah.
BMW has been on his list. I hadn't considered IS. I mean, that would be cool to rallycross. How many times do you see a Lexus doing a rallycross?
Like I said, I think an ISF would work. I don't know if like an IS 350, IS 300. I just feel as though it wouldn't quite have the oomph he's looking for. Maybe I'm wrong though, but those cars are easily below 15K all day
Yep.
long. So you
Yep.
could do it. Yeah.
And I mean, realistically, talking about rallycross, I don't know that you necessarily want all kinds of oomph. You know what I'm saying?
It's true.
With traction limited services, you can have a lot of fun with not a lot of power. This comes from a guy that once rallycrossed a Buick Roadmaster sedan on truck tires. It was a blast. The car was maybe a little too big to fit on the course. I literally couldn't fit between some of the cones. They actually had to widen the cones. I have one of the cones still in my garage that I absolutely destroyed, because Buick Roadmaster plus V8 plus absolutely no feedback in the steering. It was catastrophic oversteer into catastrophic understeer.
Yeah.
And it had a rear air suspension that I could inflate. So actually, so before, yeah, I don't know if it was a stock Buick thing or if it was an aftermarket add-on,
must be aftermarket.
like for towing, for leveling.
Yeah.
But I discovered, I mean, I could pump it up, and if I pumped it up enough, the car just got this ridiculous rake angle. I mean, it was like several inches higher in the back than it would normally be. And that just made just the weight distribution even more, because now everything's kind of leaning forward. Oh, yeah, it was terrible and epic all at the same time. So
I'm going to read this this trio of comments, and it starts by someone who's also commented before. I don't know if we've read him, but Attacking Third Football Channel is their YouTube name. So Lord have mercy, I despise the Subaru Solterra. I like the BZ4X version way more, as it looks way sleeker and crucially doesn't incorporate that awful black panel around the front tires. Regarding the Kia EV9, I initially disliked it, but like my initial reaction to the EV6, it's grown on me. It's not my favorite design of all time, as it's too cartoonish and chunky for me, but it isn't terrible. And also, am I the only one that likes the Integra? In
Yes.
what world is it not a cool car? Being similar to the Civic Si isn't a bad thing, as that is a terrific driver's car as it is. Add on the sleek Acura styling features, and I don't see what there's not to like. And then our buddy and frequent commenter Josiah commented, it definitely won't go down as an all-time great like the second gen. He's referring to the Integra. And I think he actually means the third gen, but regardless. But I agree. It looks cool to me. I don't understand why there has to be so much nostalgia to please people. I'm the biggest Integra fan, but I can move on and appreciate the new one. And then I commented to this, as I try to comment to pretty much every comment that we get. So I said, regarding the Integra, I think the big issue for a lot of folks is that it's just not different enough from the Civic lineup. There's nothing wrong with the automaker taking a product and making a nicer version of it. Look at the VW Golf and the Audi A3. The key is differentiating the two vehicles enough to make them seem different to customers. The worry is that Acura, it just isn't doing that with the Integra. So do you have anything to add to that?
Well, you make a very good point there, in that they're just not different enough. And you're right. They're not different enough at all. But I think beyond that, there are a lot of people that aren't happy with the new Civic Si.
Some, yeah.
And I'm one of them. It just has an awkward look. It pretty much has the same power with a turbo that Civic Si's 25 years ago had without.
Yeah,
I don't know why Honda is just keeping that string so tight. Not that you're gonna go crazy with 300 or 350 horsepower in a front wheel drive car. That's you can do it. It's harder to handle. But I mean, giving this 250 horsepower would make it a really lively machine, and we're seeing those power levels very common in a lot of smaller performance oriented front wheel drive cars.
Veloster N comes to mind. Yeah.
There's no reason it couldn't be happening here. So I think there's some built-in disappointment with the Civic right off the bat. And I'm not looking for a cool retro Integra. But I was looking for something more than a Civic with an Integra grille.
Yeah.
And it's very, very difficult for me to just look past that and accept what Acura is doing, because the first thing I see is, okay, Acura is like going absolute minimum effort. How little can we do and still try to woo buyers into dealerships? And it's the classic thing of over promising and then under delivering.
Yeah.
And that's why I don't like it. And, you know, social media, for better or for worse, it's rare to see a lot of people pretty much on the same side. And, you know, we said this last week, going through a lot of our comments on various posts that we've done on the Integra. A lot of people agree that it's just like, really, Acura? This is the best you guys could come up with.
Yeah, we brought it up last week, but there's kind of universal acclaim for the 718 Cayman GT4 RS. That name's too long, but there's universal acclaim for it. And people look at the new Integra and they're like, it's a Civic Si with a different face. Maybe the interior is going to be fantastic because that's what we haven't seen yet. But
yeah, we haven't seen it yet.
That nice?
I mean, we've seen teasers that seem to show.
Well, yeah, we saw the gear shift,
the exact same center console and the exact same gear shift.
That's true. That's true.
I mean, hey, it's the Integra prototype, near production prototype. Maybe the production car will be some measure of significance over and above the prototype. That's doubtful. I suspect when the production car comes out, it's pretty much going to be the prototype without the big Integra branding on the side. Maybe some slight changes to lights, but I mean, that's pretty much going to be it.
I guess an alternative way you could look at it, if you want to look on the bright side of life, it's a heck of a lot better than the ILX.
Yeah, but
it's a step up.
But I mean, I guess that's like saying,
I'm kind of damning it with faint praise.
Yeah, it's like, well, you know, I guess cutting off my pinky finger is better than cutting off my index finger.
Yeah.
I don't want any fingers cut off. It's just like, okay, you know, there isn't really a good choice here.
So moving on, we had kind of talked about doing some Thanksgiving stuff, but this is not stuck in my craw because that makes it sound like a bad thing. But there's a vehicle that I found for sale that we are not going to be writing about on the site, but I want to show the people because it's so, to me, shocking. Do you mind if we move to that portion of the show and then maybe we finish up with the Thanksgiving stuff?
So that's fine. So let me give it up just a little bit of context here. Yeah. Consider this our semi-regular cheap car challenge where Bruce and I were scouring the internet to find something that we can buy that meets certain criteria that's within relatively close distance to where we live.
Right.
Bruce always follows that rule. I never do because I live in a spot where I can only buy trucks. And that's especially true when we're talking about obscure vehicles, although I won't give it away yet, but one of my obscure vehicles sort of falls in that category.
Okay.
We'll get to that later, but this is sort of our cheap car challenge, but price isn't really a factor here. What we're trying to do is find a vehicle that the other person hasn't heard about. And I'm probably going to lose because Bruce is the master of obscure cars. I thought
I'm
was
not
pretty
the
good.
master. I've got
Well,
a bachelor's degree, not a doctorate.
Okay, well, I'm working on my GED.
Okay.
So, and I fully expect to be schooled here, but who knows? Maybe I can come up with some surprises. But this all came about because of the vehicle
I'm going to be sharing now.
that he's going to share right now.
I like did this. So we have a Slack channel at work, and all of our editors and writers and everyone are in there. And I did this, and we can pitch stories in there. And I did this as kind of a soft pitch where I'm like, yeah, I can kind of see not covering this, but also it's so freaking bizarre that this vehicle exists with this low mileage at this price that I kind of thought maybe we should cover it. And someone who shall remain nameless said, no one has ever heard of this car, so we're not going to do a story on it.
Mm-hmm.
And what I am talking about, this is on sale from the Cleveland Craigslist. It is a 1983 Plymouth Sapporo. It has 13,500 miles and an asking price of $21,900. So there's all sorts of just crazy stuff about this car. But first, a little backstory, because I have to guess most people have not heard of the Plymouth Sapporo. This is the point where Chrysler Corporation and Mitsubishi were very closely tied together.
Mm-hmm.
Chrysler owned a good chunk of Mitsubishi, and they brought them into the U.S. as what was kind of called captive imports. Captive because Chrysler owned Mitsubishi. And so this was a Mitsubishi Galant in Japan. It was never sold in the U.S. as a Galant, but it was sold in the U.S. as both a Dodge Challenger and, for less money, the Plymouth Sapporo, which is probably by far the
Challenger.
Yeah,
has a Mitsubishi. I actually knew that. I did know that.
Yeah. And this has to be the nicest one still on the road.
It could be. That thing looks actually. I'd actually like the way it looks. It's front engine, rear drive.
Yep.
It's just that front engine is a 2.6 liter. That's a
inline
4-cylinder. It's a 6.
I think it's an inline 6.
I thought it was.
I could be wrong.
I'm gonna have to look it up now. I'm gonna have to look it up.
So here we are looking inside. It's spotless. But here's the thing, and you have to understand, Plymouth was Chrysler's budget division. You know, Plymouth were the cheap cars that, you had your Plymouth, you had a Dodge that was a step up from that, and then you had Chrysler, and those were the luxury ones. So the fact that someone bought the cheaper car, only drove it 13,500 miles, it clearly lived a very healthy life. I can't see a bit of rust on it. It barely looks like someone ever sat in the seats. It's gorgeous. Now, the $21,900 price, that's just insane because it didn't cost that when it was new.
No, but we're talking about a very old vehicle that's still pretty much in like new condition. This is one of those times where you just got to throw the book out. You got to throw the book out.
This is as nice as it was when you drove it off the lot.
You're not going to find this car anywhere else. So what other examples might be going for in rougher shape with higher mile doesn't matter. Where are you going to find one like this with 13,500 miles?
You're not. Did you happen to find what the engine was? I think it's an inline 6, but I'm happy to be wrong.
It is a large 4-cylinder.
Oh, is it? Okay.
It is a large 4-cylinder.
It is a big 4-cylinder.
And I don't have personal experience with those engines. So I mean, a larger 4-cylinder like that, you tend to get some vibration issues. I don't have much experience. Maybe you do. If you're listening, email podcast@motor1.com. Let us know, because the Plymouth was also a Dodge Challenger of that era.
Yep.
And it's like, wow, a Dodge Challenger was reborn, has a completely Japanese sourced car with a 4-cylinder engine.
Yeah, it was a dark time, certainly for the Challenger name. Like, these are interesting cars, especially if you're a Japanese car fan. Like, if you're into Japanese cars, this is the only way to get this generation of Galant in the US. And it's
rear-wheel drive with a manual. I mean, that could be a lot of fun. Be a lot of fun, and you wouldn't see one anywhere else.
Never see another one, probably.
I dig the angular styling, that kind of early mid 80s Japanese styling.
Yeah, I dig that it's
I
not,
like it.
it wants to be a notchback, but then it has this flowing rear glass. Like
Yep.
it's a neat shape at the back. And you can tell that there was an attention to detail because a lot of cars of this era, they might have just had chrome or black bumpers. This one you can see is two-tone, where it's you still have the black that runs the entire length of the vehicle, but then
Mhm.
the lower portion is body color. Like this was
And the gold wheels, do we know? I mean, are those aftermarket or were those stock on there? Because
if
I
they're
mean
aftermarket, then whoever put them on matched it perfectly because
that's a nice gold mesh wheel. I mean,
yeah, it matches
I think it looks
perfectly with the
great.
rest of the body. So if they're aftermarket, bravo to the owner. But yeah, so that's what started this. Let's to find some obscure cars because I knew this was a car that existed. I don't know that I have seen one for sale, and I can tell you for certain I've never seen one this nice. So if you've got 20 grand and you want the world's nicest Plymouth Sapporo, it is for sale in Shaker Heights, Ohio.
There you go.
But yeah,
I think it's worth it. I think it's worth it all day long, twice on Sundays. Go buy that car. We're
but
not getting paid to say that, by the way.
no, this is just
I just
something
think
I found. No.
I think it's a cool, obscure car. Bruce, how are we going to start this challenge? Do you want to go first, or do you want me to go first?
I just presented one. Why don't you go first? I've got some up here if you want me
Okay.
to, but
Nope. I can go first here. This is a car that I'll full disclosure, I did not know existed until I found it. If you happen to be on Facebook, there are quite a few Facebook groups like obscure cars for sale, rare cars for sale, and I'm just a glutton for vehicles like that. So I tend to frequent those boards and those groups quite often. And this 1971 Volkswagen GTI popped up, except it's not a 71 Volkswagen GTI.
no, that's one of those Brazilian Volkswagen. Is that like not
God,
an SP2?
ah, damn it, you know it. Yes,
Yeah.
this is it's was made by a Brazilian company called Puma.
Oh, it's a Puma GT. Okay.
So yeah, this is a 71 Puma GT. It does have Volkswagen bones. Basically,
Yeah.
they used Volkswagen bones, but they built these really sexy coupe bodies.
Mhm.
It's still got the engine in the back. It's a little 4-cylinder at the back. This particular one, where's it at? It's in California. They're asking 7,900.
That's
It's
not
in
bad, especially for that condition. You don't
it,
usually see them in that condition because obviously
yeah,
they had to get here from Brazil.
it's in good
And
shape.
yeah,
The ad does say it's a project that needs completion. Body is excellent, new seats, have all the interior parts, new tires, brake master cylinder, 2 spare wheels.
sounds like, I mean, as a project for wow, that interior's nice.
Yeah, I mean
That doesn't look like that much of a project.
it doesn't. I mean, well, there is a box of something sitting over on the passenger floor.
Those are
It's
spare
always a little
parts.
scary. It's always a little scary when you see that. There's an engine sitting in the trunk, but that's okay. It's supposed to be there. It's a rear engine car. I mean, it's just, like I said, it's Volkswagen underneath. But I was not aware of this company.
Yeah,
And I found this car and I thought, well, that's kind of a neat looking car. And then I did a little bit more looking into it. And they actually built quite a few of these.
Yeah, Puma was pretty. Yeah,
and they were sold for like upwards of a decade or so. Before actually, because I think they changed hands. And then there were some cars like sold in the early 90s. But yeah, I mean, looking at some stats here right now, things really kind of kick up in the 70s. When you start looking at production numbers, or what a 79 looks like was their best year, where they built 3,500, well, almost 3,600 vehicles. And yeah, no idea that these existed. And that means that we are 0 for 1 thus far on the challenge.
So this one I'm pretty sure that you know about. Simply, I bet. So I knew a girl that drove one of these in high school. So that's why I'm pretty sure you know about this car. And also you're a Ford guy. But I bet a lot of people don't know about this car. This is a 1986 Ford Escort Exp.
Yes.
This is the 2-seat Escort. So
Yes.
you look at it and you're like, oh, okay. It kind of looks like a Fox body Mustang-ish, but I'm trying to get to the interior. Yeah, you can notice there is no rear seat. The girl I knew in high school, she and I were in drama together. I always wanted to ride in it, but she had a boyfriend that was always in the passenger seat, so never got to ride in it. Yeah, this one is for sale. Where is this? Groveport, Ohio. It's $8,000. Honestly, it's it was an Escort, so a lot of these cars were kind of used up and thrown away. This is a nice one, but you kind of forget that there was a sporty Escort that
Yep.
2-seat coupe,
a sporty Escort that wasn't the GT. I mean, when you look at this car, basically from like the B pillar forward, you think, okay, that's an Escort. But then instead of an extra set of seats and just a smaller hatch at the back, you just have sort of that notchback window, like you said, similar to the Fox Mustang of the era.
Yeah, it's kind of
just a little 2-seater.
Yeah,
really, I think really in a lot of ways, a counterpart to the CRX, because the CRX was just a little 2-seater, but that had more of a like the traditional little boxy kind of hatchback design. I mean, this is still technically a hatch. It just has a longer,
the same way a Fox body Mustang is. It's more of a liftback, I guess you would call it.
Yeah, a liftback or a fastback, I guess. But yeah, I knew these cars. They actually, I can't remember exactly the first year they came out, but they actually go back to the early 80s. Yeah. I mean, the one we're looking at here has the solid front end, with the solid lights. But you go back earlier and they just kind of had like this really kind of funky look to them, where they had like open headlights that were notched kind of funny, and it contrasted with the rear of the car in a pleasant way, I thought. But it definitely had a distinctive look.
So I'll pull it up here. First year was 82. So I was close.
Yeah.
So yeah. This one is a later one. This is an 86, where it's kind of got a more unified look. And this is what the girl I knew in high school drove. But here I'll pull up a picture of the first gen.
Oh, I thought you were going to pull up a picture of this girl you wanted to date in high school.
I didn't say I wanted to date her. I wanted to ride in her car.
Okay. Priorities, man. Okay, I'm with you.
But yeah, here is a first gen.
To take a drink on that one.
There's the headlights kind of look funny, and you can see the idea is still there. It's just kind of a bit more awkward. I dig the way you get kind of those chunky headlights facing forward. Mm-hmm.
I would rather have that early era than the later one, to be honest.
Yeah.
And check out those Porsche wheels.
Yeah.
I mean, if memory serves, those aren't Porsche wheels. Those are the actual Ford wheels. But they had that 928 style kind of dialer, the round, not like the phone dialers that you would get on the Mustangs of that era, but
mm-hmm.
Similar to the Porsche. Good find, but
for $8,000, I think that
I knew that one.
It's another car you're not going to see another one of. And bravo to whoever owned it. That is a clean engine bay for a car from this era. Like, I don't see any oil. There's it's clearly been used, but it's not nasty.
I had an 89 Escort GT for a little while that had the 1.9 liter. Just a fun engine. It wasn't as rev happy or as just as lively, I think, as the GTI of the era, the 16 valve GTIs of the era.
Mm-hmm.
But I thoroughly enjoyed that Escort GT that I had. Rusty as it was, and it was rusty. I mean, it was like I don't have much of a floor in the back seat left, rusty.
Whereas this one looks pristine. So that's what's
it looks
cool.
Great. Where is that at? That's
Groveport, Ohio. I think that's in the southern Ohio area. I'm trying to
49,000 miles. Bruce, you shouldn't be showing me this stuff. I mean, we've talked about this. I have a condition. I have an addiction.
So it's middle Ohio. So it's just south. What would that be? Southeast of Columbus. So
because I would dig that car. Can you imagine taking that to Radwood?
Oh, you'd be, yeah. That
I mean, how many Civics and things that you see at Redwood. Not that there's anything wrong with that.
No,
But
no, no, no. It's just that this is a cool
rolling in
survivor.
a freaking EXP.
Yeah,
that would be great. Good find. Good
okay.
find.
Your turn.
Do we want to stick with Ford?
It's up to you.
We're going to stick with Ford because that's the other one that I have. Now, it's funny that we've been talking about like the Mustang and the EXP. This isn't a Mustang, but it's on the Mustang's platform, and I bet you didn't know it existed.
It's a Mercury?
This is the 1982 Ford Durango.
Oh, I didn't know about this. You're right.
It's the Ford Fairmont of the era that you can get either 2 or 4 door, but with a bed. Now, Ford didn't make this directly. They had a coach builder that made these, but it was an official deal, and these cars were licensed and sold as regular Ford vehicles through Ford dealerships. And I think they only made like 200 or 300 all total. The idea was this was replacing the Ranchero for a little while because the Ranchero went away. But this Ford Durango is based, I mean, that's the Fox platform underneath, which was used on a few cars, including the Thunderbird, the Mustang. And I think it's hilarious to look at just the big overhang off the rear wheels, the big overhang off the front wheels. This particular one is listed as having a 6-cylinder engine. Guys who have worked for Ford for 40 plus years, never heard of it. Yep. Definitely that. Body is clean, no rust at all. Trying to see where this is at. Oh, this is in Michigan, Southeast Michigan, Taylor, Michigan.
Okay.
I think, I mean, it's ugly. There's no other way to say it. It's ugly, but it's a cool ugly, I think.
Oh, wait. I love the way the tailgate works, that everything you could never do that today.
Yeah.
The way that all the taillights and everything come down when you put the tail, that's cool.
Yeah. If you want to haul something with the tailgate down, nobody's going to be able to see your brake lights.
Yeah, well,
so
don't do that.
Slight oversight. Okay, so the engineers weren't necessarily thinking about that, but I think it looks good all around. Look at that early '80s Ford interior.
Mm-hmm.
I have some memories of that steering wheel, that big clunky steering wheel, and I think if memory serves me, the horn control is actually on one of the turn signal stock or something. You have to push it in. It's like the most ridiculous thing that you would think of if you're coming up to a situation where you need to hit the horn right away. Instead of just, nailing on the big button there in the middle, you have to try to find which stalk it is and push in the stalk. But little just 2-door, 2-seater Ute basically is what it is.
Yeah, it's what the Aussies would call a Ute.
And being based on a Fox platform, that means a lot of Mustang parts, the mechanical bits would fit on that. And you could build up a pretty cool little sleeper there.
Yeah.
I give you the 1982 Ford Durango.
Okay.
What's the asking price on this? $12,500. Exterior color yellow with the tan interior. Now, mind you, that is 1982 yellow.
Yeah.
So if you're listening and you're not able to go to YouTube and see, 1982 yellow is a lot different than 2019 Ferrari or Lamborghini yellow. This, like I said, it's an ugly car, but it's a cool ugly. And I got you, Bruce. I can't believe I got one.
I got you on this next one. This is going to be my last one.
Okay.
I'll do 2 quick ones, but anyway, this will be my last real one. This is a vehicle I didn't know was sold in the United States until I saw it today. So I suspect you are not going to know about this. This is a 1974 Toyota 1000.
Well, I know about the Toyota 1000.
Do you now?
Or do I? I'm looking at it. This isn't an import. This was sold in the United States.
This was sold in the United States, yes.
Okay. Maybe I don't know about it.
I maybe you do, but so this is a car I did not know, because 74 would be very, very early for Toyotas in the United States. what, 69, 70s the first year, and those were mostly like FJs and stuff like that. This is very early for a Toyota in the United States. Especially this one is in Lancaster, Ohio. So, a lot of the earlier ones were on the West Coast. This one has made it all the way across the country. Asking price is $13,500, which is high, but for a vehicle that even I have never seen before.
A rare, obscure car with 19,000 miles.
Yeah. So here are the specs according to the listing. It's got a 993 cc, so nearly 1 liter, which is
Almost
probably where the
a liter.
1000 name comes from. Inline 4 with a 4-speed manual transmission. It's got a rear fog light, bucket seats, dual side mirrors, which, yes, for any of our younger listeners, that was a thing. A girl I dated in high school, not the one with the EXP, she had a Cavalier that only had one side mirror on it because that's the way it came. And so in Japan, this was a Toyota Publica, which I've heard of, and that is a shortened version of the Corolla. They were available as a 2-door sedan, fastback, pickup, and 3-door wagon. This is clearly the 2-door fastback. And yeah, the guy says this is one of my personal vehicles. And he's asking $13,500 for it. And apparently it is at a family-owned mechanic. And if you look in the background, they clearly have some cool stuff. I see 2 Volkswagens back there.
Yep,
one in need of some, I suspect one is the donor for the other. And if you look the other way, I think that's a Camaro, like a 90s Camaro. I suspect you can't see much of it.
I think it's a Firebird. I think I see the Ram Air on the hood there.
Oh, you might be right. Yeah,
could be Firebird. Like, and then the others, it looks like a Mark 1 and a Mark 2 Volkswagens up there. Yep. Yeah.
But yeah, so, nice I suspect since it was a mechanic, it might have been taken care of. If you look at it, there's not a bit of rust on it. It looks like a cool little car. And it's something literally until I saw the listing, I didn't know existed.
I still say that Toyota 1000 sounds familiar to me. Maybe it's something that popped up in like Gran Turismo 2 or something.
Could be
way back in the day. But for all intents and purposes, yeah, this is a new one to me. So well done on the obscurity. That makes us 1 for 1 each, right?
Yep. And then I'm just throwing this out here just because it's not an official pick, but I always love to see these. There used to be a guy, as we would drive to my mother-in-law's, there was a guy by the side of the freeway that he must have like just specialized in them or owned a bunch of them or something. This is a 72 Opel GT. Yes, it looks like kind of a baby Corvette from the same period. This one needs some love. It's $7,500, but it's got some rust issues up front. It's not in perfect condition, but it's not bad. Like it could be fixed up and made to look nice, but they're always cool to see.
Oh, they're always cool. And I did know about the Opel.
Yeah.
You see them from time to time.
Yeah. Not all the time.
Let me present one to you. I don't have any listing because I couldn't find any for sale, but I was trying to find one.
Okay.
Of course, Ford made a Ford Taurus. Everybody knows Ford made a Ford Taurus. Everybody knows Ford made a Ford Taurus wagon.
Yep.
Did you ever hear about the Taurus MT5 wagon?
No.
Did you ever hear about the Ford Taurus MT5?
No.
MT5 was, I think, I don't know when they cut off. It was the first generation. But it was sort of like a show wannabe. It was a little bit sportier. It had a 5-speed manual transmission, but it came with the 2. I think it was a 2.5 liter 4-cylinder engine. So I mean, it wasn't fast,
right?
But it was a little sporty, and they made a wagon version. Very, very rare MT5 wagon.
Huh.
So it's a first generation Taurus wagon with a 5-speed manual transmission from the factory. And I was trying to find one, and I mean, I searched high and low, and I couldn't find one anywhere. If it pops up, email me, podcast@motorone.com. Say, Smith, I found an MT5 wagon, because I'm probably gonna go buy it. I shouldn't. I'm trying to do a lot of things right now, But if I find a Taurus MT5 wagon, I'm buying it because that's a 5-speed wagon, and I've always been a Taurus fan. Couldn't find one for sale anywhere, unfortunately. But if you're out on your Black Friday adventures and you find one, we need an email. You can also get me on Twitter at CHWriting.
Here, real quick, just so anyone who's watching on YouTube can at least see what you're looking for. And this is not the wagon, this is the sedan, but just to prove you're not crazy. This is a thing that exists. Yeah.
But the Taurus MT5.
Sure enough, it was.
Is that a 2.5 liter? Did I remember that correctly?
Yes, 2.5 liter
2.5
overhead
liter
cam 4-cylinder. And a 5-speed manual.
That I think was good for like maybe 90 or 100 horsepower.
That sounds right. But
yeah, but I mean, it had
one that I knew about. But
I think it had like some spiffier wheels. Of course, it had a tachometer.
Ooh, a tachometer.
Well, you need the tachometer when you have a manual transmission.
I know. Oh wait, here. If I, you can barely see it, but I hope you're seeing it. Yeah, left side tachometer, speedometer in the middle, gas gauge on the right. I assume oil temp or something on the right there.
Fuel gauge and temperature gauge.
Yeah,
that's the same layout that you had in the '89 Taurus show, except that speedometer stops at 85, and the show I think went up to 140.
Cool.
So there you go. A little bit of obscure history, folks.
You always have the obscure Taurus history. You're gonna.
I've said it many times. I keep flirting with the idea of writing a book, but I don't because it would take time to write it, and I don't know if I want to invest that much time for the 3 people that are going to buy it.
Okay.
So I fully acknowledge that I'm weird in that way. We got a little bit of time left.
Yeah, we got a little bit of time left. Let's talk. If we're going to talk, we planned on doing some Thanksgiving talk. Either I've got a corgi who is, I don't know if you can hear him, but he is not happy.
Somebody is ready for some special gifts here for the holiday season. So this airs on Black Friday. We don't want to contribute to the to the death-defying capitalist charge. Hopefully when you go into Walmart, you're being respectful and you're not trampling people as you try to get that awesome television for like $299. But you might be going out looking for some gift ideas for that special man or woman in your life who likes cars. And Bruce, I know we talked about some interesting gifts to get. What about some interesting gifts to not get? Bruce, I think I think Cooper muted you.
Hi, I'm back. Yeah.
There we go.
Sorry. You're good call,
Cooper,
man.
you very clever.
So this is totally just me. And maybe you'll disagree with me, but car-themed clothing to me is such a very personal thing that even like, don't buy me car-themed clothing. Like, let me pick that out because very likely I am going to think like, oh, that's kind of tacky. Oh, that's not quite my style. Like,
how convenient that you brought that up because I had this article that I wrote back in 2018 about these cool auto-themed socks will warm your feet and your heart. And I don't know if
okay with the socks.
I don't know if I should be referencing this or not because I wrote it and Heel Tread. I mean, they were kind enough to send over some samples and the socks were comfortable. The socks were neat, but as time has gone by, it's just like, I'm with you. I don't want car-themed clothing of any kind.
I think I would be okay with. It's the t-shirts and stuff like that. That it's such a very personal thing about, you know, oh, I like this part of whatever automotive fandom, but I'm not so cool about this other part. That's where I get iffy with it. So let me pick that out.
So you would be okay then if I got you these mini themed socks?
I mean, I wear pants around. No one's ever going to see them. So yeah, sure. I don't love them. Actually, those Tartan Volkswagen ones I'm into.
Yeah.
I'm on board with that.
Okay. Well, maybe I'm a little off here, but I'm with you. generally, I mean, stay away from the car themed apparel.
It's just such a personal thing that you think, oh, this person likes this car. Well, I can like a car, but not necessarily like, a t-shirt or something like that, or a hat, or, some people don't like to wear baseball hats. Like, I don't usually wear baseball hats. I'll wear a beanie around, especially in the winter. And if you watched our early episodes when it was January, February, I was wearing them.
Mhm.
But, so it's just such a personal thing. Just, it's too much of a gamble, in my opinion. Just hold off, do something else.
You don't want these mini themed socks.
Like I said, they're fine. I would wear them, but I'm not, they don't do much for me, in
No,
my opinion.
I'm with
So
you there.
in the opposite direction, I think a small model of the person's car is always welcome. If you got me a
Really?
small, a 1 to 64, 1 to 32 Mini Cooper, even I have several of those, but I would take another one, and I would be grateful for that, because that's cool to me.
Now, see that I'll disagree with you there,
Okay.
because um, odds are that auto person, if a scaled model of their car exists, they probably already have it, and it's
Like I
like,
said, I already have 2 scale models of my car, but
how
if it's
many more
something
do you
different,
need?
yeah.
How many more do you need? I mean, I'm sitting here in my office. I have a 95 Mustang GT. Up there on the wall is a 95 Mustang GT model. On the truck behind me is a 95 Mustang GT model. This is crap that I bought myself. If somebody
Sure.
were to be like, hey, check out this 95 Mustang GT promo I got you, I'd be like, oh, thank you. Damn it.
Yeah.
It's so I would have to say on that, unless you can verify the person you're giving the gift to doesn't already have a scale model of their own car, don't go that route.
Yeah.
Don't go that route,
I can see where you're coming from.
because it probably already exists. Um, since we're also kind of on that theme of what they already have, don't get like one of the little personal car air compressors that you can pump up your tires with. You plug into the cigarette lighter. Basically, any sort of tool that plugs into the cigarette lighter that can be used for your car, whether it's pumping up the tires
Unless they're asking
or a little
specifically
vacuum,
for it.
unless they're asking specifically, because those things they sit in the car, they take up space, and they never work well.
Right.
I had
Oftentimes they're crap.
I had one of those little just air compressor things. Um, I can't remember. Somebody got it for me a very, very, very long time ago. Um, doesn't matter. You plug it in, and when I first got it, I thought, I was like, okay, well, this is neat. I could be, I was in college at the time. I can just pump up my tires whenever I need. You plug it in, and it puts out like 1 psi every 5 minutes. It's like, okay, my tire's a little low. We got to go from 20 to 32 psi. Plug it in, set it up on the tire. Away it goes. 5 minutes later, we're at like 24 psi. Another 5 minutes later, we're like 28 psi. And of course, the more pressure you get in there, the harder the compressor has to work. I was legit concerned it was going to catch on fire. So top advice right here. If there's a device that plugs into the cigarette lighter that's either like a vacuum or an air compressor or some other form of automotive tool, no, just step away. I guarantee you will see them all over like center aisle displays in just about every department store you're going to go into. And you know what? I'll go even a step further. Any auto item you see in a center aisle display in a major department store, walk the hell away from it. There's a reason it's there.
So that's the caveat I was going to say. I have an air compressor that lives in my wife's car that can plug into the cigarette lighter. It also has a cable to plug into a wall, and it is very nice. However, it was not a cheap unit. It was more than $100. I certainly know that.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So there are nice ones out there, and they do a very good job. But if you are not willing to invest that much in somebody, then
I must live the cheap
ones
life.
are bad.
Oh, I have cheap friends and cheap family. Apologies to everybody that's listening.
So, and you were mentioning this, things to put in your car and things to get someone, and I will suggest something. First aid kit if you have a friend who drives a lot. So there are three things that my wife and I keep in her Subaru constantly. It's the air compressor. It is one of those, so it doubles as either a battery charger or a jump starter. You can use it for either, and a first aid kit. And all three of those things, I would say, maybe not necessary, but certainly useful, especially a first aid kit. You don't know, you're traveling, not even if you're in a car accident, not, God forbid, but, someone has an upset stomach or something like that. They come with Tylenol or Advil or aspirin. Someone's got a headache. They come with all of those things. And then they come with, tourniquet, gauze, stuff like that, if even worse things happen. It's a useful thing to have. And if you have someone who is driving a lot, I would say, $50 first aid kit. That's all kind of in one bag. And you just kind of, in ours, it's underneath the driver's seat. Not a bad idea.
Yeah. From a practical standpoint, I guess. Is that...
Oh, practical gifts aren't allowed on Christmas?
Not for auto enthusiasts. I want cool stuff, man. That's something that I would get my elderly grandmother.
Yeah, you're right. Maybe it's not the best, but if you want to buy someone for their car and you don't know them that well, I would say that's okay.
If you want to buy something for somebody that you want them to be really happy, they love cars, get them a turbo. Get them a turbo. Get them a supercharger.
Get them an intercool. Like, yeah.
Guaranteed happiness right there. You will be like the best friend, the best family member ever. Any car person who loves their car would absolutely love to get a turbocharger from you.
You're not wrong. It's just that's like between the turbo, the intercooler, you're like at a $900 gift at that point.
900? What? Wait. Where can we get this for 900? I was thinking more like 2,900.
Well, yeah. Yeah.
Well, come on. You're the big spender on the first aid kit. You can't step up for a turbo.
No.
My logic does not come from this planet.
But yeah, the other thing I was going to say, and you kind of broached it, is any sort of like any car mod you could buy from AutoZone or Pep Boys or anything like that. Do not buy anyone who likes cars.
Nope. Do not go down the aisle that has the steering wheel covers, the seat covers,
the Tweety Bird floor mats.
Nope. Big. We're just gonna all of this.
Yeah.
If there is something with any sort of fur on it, no.
Yeah.
No neat furry seat covers, no license plates that say my other car is a Yugo.
Yeah, blah blah. Yeah.
No, none of that.
Now, if you've got the money and you want to buy someone, and they are not a sponsor, but they make good product, WeatherTech, like a set of floor mats, but those things, they're $100 plus easy, if not more, for a full set. They're not cheap. They're nice.
They're nice. Work. They're custom molded to a car. Yeah. So when you get it, it's not just like a generic that'll slide around. I mean, they design them specifically for very specific vehicles, very specific models.
But again, that is not a cheap gift by any stretch. So,
Meanwhile, if you are looking at floor mats that say one of these three things, back off. My other car is a insert
blank.
Something here, or a picture of Calvin peeing on something. No, stay away, stay far away from those.
Agreed.
Do we have any like things, any advice that we should say? Yes, you can go ahead. Because you touched on it. Car people it's a very personal thing, right?
Yeah, I think simply because they're cheap, and from the buyer's point of view, it's very, I guess, low effort. So you're not you're not going to feel bad that someone spent a bunch of money, but I would say something like a sticker or decal related, not to put on your actual car, but so for example, I have a freezer in my garage that is just full of car and video game stickers. If you've got, if you wanted to buy me a sticker of my wife and I's car, I'd put it on the freezer. That could look kind of cool. It's going to be amongst
Simple.
100 other ones, but that's, you go on to Redbubble, you get it, for that size, $4 or $5 each. That's cool. That it's not a big gift. It's not an expensive gift, but I'm not going to mind that.
Yeah. Can you go wrong with like a little Hot Wheels car?
No, that's the other thing for, Hot Wheels, Matchbox, etc.
It doesn't have to be the car that they own.
Nope.
It can be just about anything. And I've never talked to a car person that didn't at least appreciate a little Hot Wheels car. And it's something that's small, that can go just about anywhere, even if they don't collect Hot Wheels. Hey, I know you like cars. I was at the store, I was thinking about you. You know what? It's a neat little thing.
Yeah.
And that's inexpensive.
Yeah, same thing. And there are a ton of them out there, and you can go from the 99-cent bin at the grocery store to importing a car from Tomica from Japan. Like, there's a wide swath there, but none of them are going to break the bank, and there's a lot of cool stuff. So no, I think that's a really good pick.
And here's another thing that I'll mention, that I personally think is a good idea. But again, this is something that you'll need to kind of check out ahead of time to see if they already have it. OBD scanners, OBD2 computer scanners.
Oh, I didn't even think of that.
You can buy quite a few decent quality home OBD2 scanners for like under 30 or $40. I mean, it's not Hot Wheels cheap.
Right. I was thinking 50, but yeah, 30 I think I've seen on sale. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, there are a good selection of inexpensive devices. And if you don't know what that is, it's the diagnostic tool that you plug into modern computer systems on cars. And you could pull the engine codes. If you have any car person, if they see the check engine light come on, they're probably, if they don't already have one of these tools, they're probably going to an auto parts store to get them to scan it. And then you have to rely on what they're saying. And then they're obviously going to want to sell you whatever part you need.
Yep.
Or you go to the dealership, and if the car isn't under warranty, there's always like an $80 or $90 diagnostic fee. A lot of these scanners now are very simple to use. You plug in, they give you the directions, and the person doesn't even need to be totally mechanically knowledgeable on all
really
things.
At all. No, it's just literally a port that you plug in, and it registers whatever error codes that have come up.
It'll give you directions right on the screen of what to do. A lot of them they'll have an easy to understand description of what this code means. You can then take that knowledge and go to the parts store and get what you need. You can talk to maybe friends that are a little more reputable or a little more knowledgeable on the mechanic side. And I mean, if you find, okay, that's just an odd code that came up, a lot of these will just reset. You can reset the check engine light, clear the codes out, reset the check engine light. Saves you a trip to the auto parts store where they would try to sell you something anyways. Saves you an $80 diagnostic fee. Those have really come down in price. And as long as the person doesn't have one, that's a legit, interesting, helpful tool that just about every car person would appreciate.
Yeah, I think that's a good one. I really do. So
or a turbo. Just, I'm telling you, turbo, you'd be a rock star.
So while we were talking about that, I was thinking about this. Another thing, if you know that they are a gamer and that they play a lot of racing video games, I would advise against buying them a video game, because people have, first off, the games themselves vary in quality massively. And also, you don't necessarily know what that person is into. You know, if they're a Formula One fan, they might not enjoy a NASCAR game and vice versa. So don't take that gamble. But if you know that there's a specific game that they enjoy, maybe just like an Xbox or PlayStation gift card, so that, if they want to buy some DLC for, if they want to buy some cars that didn't come with the game, you're letting them do that. And that's something that's inexpensive. That could be that's as easy as $10 or $20. And that can give them a lot of fun because maybe there's some car in their game that they've been wanting to play or some track they've been wanting to download.
Yeah.
And that little bit of money is enough to do that.
Very good. Some very, very, very solid tips here as you're out weathering the Black Friday storm.
Please don't. Stay with your family. Order online. There's no reason to go to a brick and mortar store. Just stay home. Enjoy yourself. Don't go out on Black Friday.
And enjoy the time. You know, I used to way back in the day, but yeah, I've gotten to the point. I'm just not interested. There's nothing that I need to have so bad that makes me want to deal with just some of the mob mentality you get. And I don't want to go down a dark road, but family matters. Spend the time with family.
Yeah.
Do some shopping. A lot of your local stores have online things that you can do now anyways.
Yeah.
Avoid the rush, relax. Hey, you know what? Sit down. If you're on Forza, if you're on Xbox on Forza, maybe you can keep an eye out for Bruce and I. We're playing Forza Horizon 5. We're probably going to be the ones that are constantly off the road, but hey, sit down
and have a whole conversation about Forza 5.
We could.
Super quick. We're at an hour and 20 minutes. I'm going to do this for 2 minutes.
Is the
AI really difficult this time, or am I bad at the game now?
It's a little more difficult, but it's really, really buggy. I've encountered so many bugs with the online system.
I'm not talking online. I'm talking about like their drivatars. I swear. So I didn't play a lot of Forza Horizon 4. It was kind of a game that my dad had. When I was there, I would play it. But I swear I could have the advanced, average, or kind of the next step up from there in terms of the AI. This time, if it's average, I end up coming in first. If it's average advanced, I am struggling for 5th or 6th place.
I mean, I'm running above average, and most cars are handled pretty well. I mean, it's arcade based, right?
Yeah.
So there's the theory that, okay, we're just going to go in, just hit the gas. You don't need to worry about the brake bounce off stuff. But I mean, it's geared up to where you still need to try to drive pretty, I mean, pretty decently. So I guess I've noticed maybe it's a little bit harder than 4 because I played 4 a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I've noticed there's usually 1 or 2 cars that are just like dominating everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to catch them early, because if you get caught back in the middle of the pack for just a little bit, those two cars are going to run away. So I think that's a fairly new thing for 5.
Okay.
And I've been trying to stay on above average until I get my wheel dialed in and all that stuff. But yeah, hey, we're playing Forza Horizon 5.
Yep, there's the Forza Horizon 5 minute and a half.
my gamer tag is CH Writings, just like my Twitter at CH Writing. If you happen to see me on there, shoot a message. Maybe we can convoy or a little something. We'll have a little fun.
Yeah. I guess I'll share mine. So I am Leapy Bear, LIEBYBEAR. I'm not going to explain what that means, but trust me, it means something. But yeah. And you'll probably see me on this weekend and beyond. So
I'm hoping to be on because I need a break. So it's holiday weekend. We hope all of you out there are enjoying some time off, enjoying some time with family. Always go follow us at podcast or Motor One Podcast on our YouTube channel. You can email us podcast@motor1.com. The article will be up on Friday. I think it's time for us to get going on holiday here, Bruce.
Yeah, I think so too. As always, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. We appreciate all the time you spend with us. We appreciate every comment you get. Like I said, so we only got comments on YouTube this week, so feel free to email us at podcast@motor1.com, comment on the story at motor1.com. But I responded in some case a couple of times to every comment we got on YouTube this week.
And shame on me. I didn't have time to get in.
Hey man, there's some weeks I'm
saying
too busy
that
too, but I try to. I really try to. So if you
everybody, you need to comment and call me out. You need to start calling me out because it's time for me to step up.
But yeah, so thank you all very much. As you notice, I think this is episode 47 for us. So we're nearing 1 year of
episode
rambling
52.
About cars. And yeah, that'll be the first week of January.
That'll be episode 52.
It will be.
And we do have some stuff planned. So, almost forgot our subscriber challenge. You need to go to podcast or Motor One Podcast on YouTube. You need to subscribe. You need to tell all your friends, because if we hit 1,000 subs by the end of the year, we will do whatever you say.
At this point, that's like 750 in 6 weeks. So that's going to take something. But if you folks do it, we will do whatever you tell us to do.
We'll do whatever you say.
So yeah. But yeah, so thank you to everyone, and that'll be the show. So thank you for listening. Bye-bye.
Good holiday. Bye-bye.